In the month of June, we got the sequel to one of the most influential animated movie to ever exist in recent years. A movie that changed the game when it came to animation and led to many other movies that came after it to try and mimic its style. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and its sequel, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, are in my list of favorite movies. Heck, they might be my favorite movies ever, and I can't wait for Beyond the Spider-Verse to come out, even if it does take a lot longer to come out than we expected. Oh, a new DreamWorks movie also came out. That one didn't do as good. Oh, who am I kidding? It did terrible. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse released this year on June 2nd and currently has a worldwide box office of over $500 million. I don't have much to say about the movie since so much has already been said, but for me personally, this has been the best movie I've watched so far this year. The animation is incredible, the movie looks stunning, and the action scenes are the best. Did you know that it took them 4 years to animate the chase sequence in the movie? Not only that, it also took them 3 years to animate Spider-Punk in the movie because of his animation style. The animators must have been working so hard while making this movie, which makes sense since they were working on this movie 7 days a week for 11 hours. That must have been hell for the animators, and I hope they actually have more time to, see their families while working on Beyond the Spider-Verse, even if the movie comes out long after its intended release date. The characters in this movie are so good as well. Hobie is obviously my favorite. He's obviously the best. I thought the Spot was great in the movie as well. He started off as your goofy villain of the week, but turned into a more serious threat as the movie went on. I was disappointed when he disappeared halfway into the movie, but I hope we get a lot more of him in the third movie. Spider-Man 2099 was also really cool, until he started acting like a rabid animal. Other than that, he was pretty cool. Of course, Miles and Gwen were amazing, nothing much to say there. I hope they end up together. Spider-Man India, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, was very sweet and wholesome, and I hope nothing bad happens to him ever. Of course, there are a lot more characters in this movie, but just so you know, they're all great. Except for Scarlet Spider. He was kind of weird in this movie. Prowler Miles is also really cool, although he's not as cool as Miles, since Prowler Miles lacks the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. The music in this movie is also really good. I listen to this soundtrack daily. So yeah, the movie's great. Everybody knows that. Though I think I may like the first one a tiny bit more. I don't really know. My opinion keeps changing. But yeah, go watch Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse if you haven't yet now. It's a 10 out of 10. Okay, maybe that's a bit too high. It's a 9.7 out of 10. I still have a few problems. Okay, now let's talk about the mediocre movie. Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken released this year on June 30th, and it had the lowest domestic box office opening yet in DreamWorks history. It only earned $5.2 million in its domestic box office opening, and at the point of writing this script, has a worldwide box office of around $34 million. It hasn't even made it close to its $70 million budget, making Ruby Gillman a massive flop. But that doesn't mean the movie is bad, right? It could be a massive flop in the box office because no one cares about original ideas. Maybe this movie is a masterpiece. I really wish it was a masterpiece, but like I said before, the movie is just okay. I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10. Let me talk about the good things first before we talk about the negatives. I think the movie looks great. The movie is very colorful, and even though some of the human designs are questionable, Ruby and her family are very expressive when it comes to their animation. I also think the movie has a good story. If you didn't watch the trailer, if I'm being honest, the trailer is one of the reasons I didn't enjoy the movie because the trailer literally spoiled the whole movie. I'm not even joking when I say that. Just by watching the trailer, you can tell how the movie will end. I also hate the villain in this movie, mainly because there was so much missed potential. Instead of having the plot twist be that Chelsea is Narissa and that she was just using Ruby to get the Trident to do whatever she wanted to do, I kind of forgot what her whole evil plan was. Chelsea should have actually been Narissa's daughter, and instead of Chelsea being the final boss, it's her mom. So we can instead have Chelsea actually be a good guy to show Ruby's mom and grandma that not all mermaids are evil, so we can have a good message about how we shouldn't judge a person because of their background. Instead of whatever the message was in the movie, I forgot what that was as well. If I'm being honest, I went to watch the movie because I was more interested in the Kraken part of Ruby Gillman, not the teenage part. I think they did a pretty good job with all the Kraken stuff in the movie. Wished it was explored a bit more along with the rest of the ocean, but whatever. On the other hand, I couldn't care any less about the teenage stuff in this movie. I don't care how good Ruby is at math. I don't care about Ruby going to prom. I don't care about Ruby trying to ask this boy who she nearly killed to prom. That was pretty funny. Speaking of the teenage stuff, I don't remember anything about Ruby's friends or any of the human characters in this movie. They're just irrelevant. It would honestly be better if Ruby was friendless. The movie was also not that funny. There are a few jokes that I laughed at or chuckled to. Not evil, I'm just pretty misunderstood. But other than that, nothing was really funny. I don't think DreamWorks is going to be doing good this year. Last year, DreamWorks released The Bad Guys and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, two amazing movies. This year, however, they've released a box office failure and will be releasing Trolls 3. My nightmares are becoming real. And why won't you sing? You're singing Kill My Grandma, okay? So instead of watching Ruby Gillman, you should go watch Nimona instead. It's a much better movie that came out on the same day. Hopefully they make everything up next year by releasing Kung Fu Panda 4.